Hey guys, my name is Chris. Thanks for taking the time to check out the video with me today. So what we're going to do today is I want to show you guys some quick and easy ways of using the personal assistant to get things done in the car that you probably want to do yourself by touching the screen or doing stuff, but just by kind of the nature of how things are today, everything is so automated, and the personal assistant really is going to be the fastest and easiest way of doing certain things. So one example of this is recently people have reached out and they're like, how do I reset my trip data? What exactly is going on with that? So trip data, you definitely can reset it, but you're going to have to go under your 4 tiles and you have to go under something called live vehicle. Then you go under trip data, and then under values, instead of factory, we're going to go down since individual, and then you're going to reset individual, and then you're going to be able to reset your trip data. So, if that seemed a little ridiculous to you, you're not alone. A lot of people want to know, well, we used to have a little physical button right down here on the dash that we could just press that and it would clear it out. Why can't I do that? Well, because it's basically a laptop on wheels, and we've been saying this, or I definitely have been saying this for a number of years now, that we're moving towards this direction of having software that is very automated, and some of our cars don't even have an iDrive controller anymore. Things are definitely going to be optimized for voice, for gesture, for touch, if you want to do the touch screen. So like I just showed you here, you definitely can. It's not like, it's not possible, but there's an easier way. And I'm going to show you what that easier way is right now. So right down in the corner, you can activate your intelligent personal assistant just by pressing this. In the head-up display, I see some red bubbles popping up. That is how I know it is listening to me. So all I need to say is this: reset trip data.
Do you really want to reset all trip data, such as average consumption?
No.
Okay, then I won't change anything for now.
See how easy that was? I just press this once and then I'm just done. I asked it to do exactly what I wanted to do, and it was going to do it. I could have done this while I was driving. I could do it while I was parked. It doesn't really matter, when and where you want to do it. The point is, you can do it so much faster. Look at all the menus I had to get into just to get to resetting the trip data. You don't have to drive yourself crazy anymore, guys. You really can start relying on the personal assistant to do this stuff. I know I'm that type of person too. I want to do it myself. I want to clear it out. But when you're getting into a car like this now, we just have to have the understanding that we're just beyond that. Times have changed, and the fastest and easiest way of really doing a lot of things in here is by using that assistant. Other things keep in mind is I don't even have to press this here on the steering wheel. I can have what's called a wake word. I can actually go back to this here. We're going to go under system settings, under, definitely not that. We're going to go under voice control. Personal Assistant BMW. What I can do is go down to wake word, and I can toggle on hello BMW. That's great. That means I can just say, hey BMW, hello BMW, and it would automatically trigger the personal assistant. I wouldn't have to make any contact with the steering wheel at all, which is really cool. Even better than that is I could check this box off and make my personal wake word whatever it is I want to make it. So let's say I don't want to say hello BMW or hey BMW or anything close to that. I can make my own word and just go right into it and know that the assistant is going to pop up as soon as I say whatever that wake word is, which honestly is pretty cool. I know a lot of people that do that. So I know a lot of people who want nothing to do with that, but I also know a lot of people who do like that, and they think that that is pretty convenient. Keep in mind, this whole idea of using the assistant, this is not just limited to basic things like resetting things in the car. There is a section inside of your menu called Personal Assistant, and it is dedicated to help you do everything you need to do inside the car. So what's really great about this is when you go under tips, you can do, have a whole bunch of different things pop up when you do general. So for example, talk to me naturally. You can always navigate lists by saying scroll up or scroll down. Keep your surroundings quiet and close windows if necessary. So these are first best practices of having best success with the personal assistant, but also it's saying, hey, look, if I'm giving you a list of things and the screen is cutting it off, you can always say go up or go down, and I can keep scrolling through this and it's going to give me different general tips. Now, specific to the wake word, we can switch to that. And it tells me here that I can use wake words from other speech assistants for their systems, which is pretty cool. It lets me know that the acoustic signal indicates when speech processing is active. So a lot of people are concerned with data privacy and they want to know, at what point is it listening? Well, when you hear that tone, that's how you know speech processing is active. So that's pretty interesting too. And of course, I only listen to the person in the vehicle who started the conversation with me. Well, what does that mean? Does it know multiple people? It definitely does. Because if you look up in your headliner, you're going to likely see two speakers. One is going to be right over the driver and the other is going to be right over the passenger. And it does know if multiple people are speaking. So it's only going to be doing the person who started the conversation, but the reason why those microphones are up there is for incoming phone calls. So everybody can join in the call. So that's kind of why that's there. We can go down to settings. So it's going to give us tips with this. So we can activate speaking during speech output to interrupt the assistant. So what that means is if the assistant is kind of long-winded in its response to something, you can ignore it and you can cut it off as soon as that you're done or you get the amount of information you need and just keep on going, which, I do all the time and it works pretty well. Other things you can do is you can change the length of the response in the settings. And also, this is kind of a obvious thing, but all the functions are activated via the online speech processing. Has to be on. So what does all that mean? So if we go back to your settings, you'll start to see all of this stuff. So in the top, receive suggestions. I have this off just because I know about it, but if you don't know about it, that might be something that you want to turn on. If we go down to categories, you can get different suggestions based off of all these categories. Here's the important stuff. Voice control. Make sure online speech processing is checked off. Speaking during voice output. This is where we can interrupt the assistant if we heard enough or we know what we want to say and we just want to get to the next section, if you will. You can interrupt the assistant and it's not going to cause, any issues with that. This is where we create the wake word. Here is the voice output. So here is the visual representation that the assistant is listening, and you can kind of see this moving around. So you have harmonious and then you have expressive. So this is kind of, well, in a certain way it's kind of weird because it literally has eyes. So anyway, choose whichever one that you want it to be and it'll just pop right up. The visualization display location, this is where it's going to pop up, and a lot of people kind of get this wrong because they think it's always going to be in the same place in every car, and it definitely is not. So when you do the drop down, it's really your choice. It can either be the head-up display, which is why I told you that I saw it up there in the beginning of the video, or it can be down in the instrument cluster, which is going to be like right down in this area. Some of our newer cars with iDrive 9, it actually shows up right in the center here. Just, again, putting it in front of you just so you actually see what's going on, because it is a visual representation that online speech processing and all this data processing is active and working, and it is important for everybody to really understand that. So understand that the assistant really can do a lot of cool things in the car. It can pull up any sort of menu that we have in here, any app that you have. It can pull up Apple CarPlay. It can pull up Android Auto. If you have massage seats, it can turn that on. Climate control. You can say, I'm hot, I'm cold. You can be more specific. You can say, turn the temperature up to 76. You can say, turn the heated seat on at the second level. You can say, open the passenger's window. You can say, change the ambient lighting to flamingo if you want to change the lighting color in the car. If you want to use navigation, you can say things like take me to Whole Foods, take me to Target. You can say the name of the place, or you can say the physical address if you have that. There's a lot of really cool things that you can do in this car. And one of the more fun things to do is when you're merging on the highway is to say, hey, change to sport mode. And you can feel all the power come into the car as you're merging on the highway. And not to mention, everything I just said is completely safe because you're doing it with your hands still on the steering wheel, your eyes looking straight ahead, and you don't have to worry about anything else going on. You don't have to look over here. You don't have to look down. It is the safest thing that you can do, and you can control basically the entire operating system. Most of the features, most of the functions inside of your car are linked up to this. So it is just such an easy thing to do. And now with latest updates in the operating system, as you speak to the system, it shows the text of your words showing up in the head-up display if equipped, or down below in the curved display. So you actually know in real time if your assistant heard you correctly. Sometimes it's really frustrating, when you say something to an assistant and, it's just not working properly. And you're like, well, I don't know if it heard me wrong or if it's just broken. Well, now you actually know. And with the online speech processing and everything that goes into this, it is going to be smarter and faster itself. And with that, text recognition there on the displays, you have that extra peace of mind knowing that it did understand everything that you said properly. But again, keep in mind, there's a lot of variables where things could go wrong. If windows are open, if people in the car are talking, this could throw off the assistant. But really is a great kind of push into the new technology in our cars, understanding and kind of utilizing all this stuff. The same sort of thing happened with Apple CarPlay and Siri when, a lot of people first started trying that. My recommendation to them was to, take your iPhone, go home, in your living room, just start talking to Siri, see all the different features and things that it can do with your iPhone. And then once you get into your car, a lot of the things that you can do from your phone because you know Siri really well at that point. Same thing here. Our cars are just big computers on wheels now. And, if this isn't a computer enough, I don't know how much further we have to go in that direction to kind of signal that that's kind of where we are now. So the progression is natural, and it just makes sense that the fastest and easiest thing to do in these cars is to talk to it. So hopefully that has made a little bit more sense in understanding the assistant and kind of where we're coming from with all this stuff. There's a lot of cool things in the car. And, if you have any questions, definitely reach out to your local BMW center because they can definitely demo this, show you things that the assistant can do that you probably have no idea that it can do. A lot of people are just really amazed, when I sit down with them and show them all the cool stuff that their BMW can do for them. So again, thanks for taking the time to watch this video with me. Check out the links down below, a lot of cool stuff down there. Please make sure you subscribe so you can always stay updated with the latest content. And as always, stay healthy and safe out there.